All right, my name is Wincey Terry-Bryant, and you can check me out on Facebook. I'm Winceyco Music, Winceyco Music, the traditional spelling of music, which is Music. Also, my website is winceycomusic.com. In my household, there was, my brothers and sisters are older, a lot older than me, so we listened to a lot of jazz in the house when I was a kid. My brother loved Nina Simone, and then I had some older friends, so we listened to Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald, and they kind of shaped me, like, you need to listen to music like this. And so I started to love it. Then I loved Chaka Khan, because she would do like a lot of jazz. So I really fell in love with jazz. And in fact, I would take that jazzy sound and try to put it in my lead in the choir, because, you know, I'm going to church every Sunday and Tuesday nights and stuff. So I would take that sound and try to put it in the lead in the choir, and they were not having that. They were not ready for that yet. So, you know, the choir would be singing, "Can't nobody do me like Jesus," and then they give me the microphone and I say, "Can't nobody do me like." So finally they was like, "You get out." So that's kind of like how I got tossed out. I was like really too jazzy, so I didn't really fit there. And then when I went out into the industry, I was singing a lot of my songs so gospel-y that a lot of places were just like, "What is that, gospel?" So I was thinking, what is going to be for me musically? I had to really kind of carve a place out for myself. I loved when Rapper's Delight came out. It was really exciting for everybody because I hadn't heard music merged with like the beat like that before, and I learned later that African people have been speaking in rhymes and chanting rhythms way back in Africa, but somebody printed it here for us, and it started like a whole new era, and it was so much fun, and it was like happy music for me. So it was really exciting for me to get in to hear it, but then later on I was able to get involved in a way that I had not anticipated. When I left the church, what actually happened was a friend of mine said, "Big Producer is having an audition in New York, and I think you could get it." So I left my job and went over to the audition, but I didn't get it, which was really interesting to me because the way it actually happened was the first thing he said, it was Paul Simon. And so what he said was, "Okay, you got the job, be here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And I started explaining why I couldn't be there at 4 o'clock, but I would be there at 5 o'clock. And he just right in the middle of my explanation said, "Next." And that was it. I had never gotten a job and gotten fired like in the same sentence in my life. That was like, I was stunned. But I learned that out there in the industry, it's not like the choir. You can't be late. You know, you don't still get the solo just because you can sing. So I got tossed out of there, and I didn't get a second chance at that. And he did put up his big show, Aida, and, you know, I didn't make it. But the guy who was holding the auditions, a guy named Reginald Brisbane, he remembered me. And he called me 2 years later, and he says, "I have an a cappella group, and I think that you would be great for this a cappella group." And that was perfect for me. That was a natural progression because my choir was a cappella. Not because we chose to be, we just didn't have a musician, but we got so proficient in a cappella music that it was nothing for me to come and sing with the a cappella group. And I walked right into that group and right onto the set of The Cosby Show, because that's the work that they were doing. I didn't even know it. That was like my first gig with them. So every Thursday we would entertain the live studio audience at The Cosby Show. It was like, I can't believe I'm standing right here and Mr. Bill Cosby is standing right there. Everybody came to see The Cosby Show. I mean, everybody from, you know, like the average Joe to like the most popular celebrity. So we got a lot of gigs as a result of working at The Cosby Show. Spike Lee came, and he loved the whole concept of a cappella music, so he came to check us out because he was putting together a production called Spike and Company Do It A Cappella, and it's on VHS still. I actually still have the VHS, but he put us in his show along with Take Six and the Persuasions, and it was really like, it was an amazing experience. He did it at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And then the Fine Young Cannibals came. And she drives me crazy. So they came and they really liked it. And they said, "You know what, we want to do something with this artist from England. We want to produce her. And we want some background singing on it, like live vocals, harmonies and whatnot." So when we went to the studio, it turned out that, even though some of the guys in the group were older than me, because my brothers and sisters were older, I knew so much older, like I knew a lot of old music. So when they played the track, like, ding, 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 I was like, oh, I know that song. My brothers sing that all the time. It's like the Spinners. I got it. And I just started singing, it's a shame the way you mess around with my heart. And they was like, that's it. That's what we're looking for, which is perfect. So, me and those guys, the Fine Young Cannibals, got really close, and every time they would come into New York, they would call me. I started doing like all their sessions and stuff. I went over to England a few times, so it was really like, it was awesome to meet them because they were as cool, like off wax as they were on wax, I didn't meet Moni in the studio, so people were asking me the whole time, like, how is it working with Moni Love? How is it working with, and I'm like, I didn't meet her. And for people who don't know about like production, a lot of people couldn't understand it. And my friends were like, how could you not meet her? You're singing with her. You're like, her voice, then your voice. Like, what do you mean? But I actually ran into Moni at Quincy Jones's party. So Quincy had a party, and everybody was at the party. The Winans were at the party, and Tevin Campbell was at the party. Herbie Hancock was at the party. Kumo D was at the party, and Ice-T. Everybody was at the party. And somebody said, Moni Love's over there. And I said, oh my gosh, she is. Let me go over there and introduce myself. So when I did, I said, hi, my name is Wincey, and I'm the girl who sang. She says, oh my God, I've been looking all over for you. It was so, we had a big hug, like a real sister moment, and she was telling me that, she said, I'm going to go on tour, and I'm going to call you, I'm going to make sure. And, people say that all the time in the industry, so I didn't really stick a pin in it. But then one day the phone rang, and it was her manager. His name was Simon. He was like, Moni's going on tour, and she really wants you to go. And I thought that was awesome. So we did a 52-city tour with Belle Biv DeVoe, Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill. It was an awesome experience. Everybody was really cool. From all of the people who came to see the Cosby Show, we ended up doing like the coolest gigs. And what I loved most about the music was you get to make really great music, you get to meet really cool people, and then you get to get involved in some really great causes. So what I loved about working with Mr. Bill Cosby was that he was seamless, like on camera and off camera, he was the same person. And that wasn't necessarily the case with the entire cast, but he was somebody who was very fatherly, like very paternal, and he would kind of jump in with us, like while we were singing, like he had his favorite song. So one of his favorites was Don't Worry, Be Happy. And he would always say, like, sing my song. And then he'd like jump right in the middle of the group and like, start like putting little choreographies. Like it was such an honor. He was so funny, and he was great like at improv. So he would tell them to kind of roll the camera and just kind of keep it going, and he would just go. He was an amazing man. Also, from that gig, we got this gig with Sting, who was he did this big rainforest event, and that's where I first met Tina Turner, who was I didn't really learn her story until the movie What's Love Got to Do with It. I knew she was an amazing vocalist, but I didn't know she was an amazing person. And we were all in rehearsal one day, and she was kind of like the last to come in. And it was even people who didn't sing, like Mimi Rogers and Dustin Hoffman, and they were just all down with the cause. So they agreed to like make up a choir, sort of. So when Tina Turner comes in, she like changed the whole energy of the rehearsal. She was like, I need you over here, and you over here, and you're gonna sing this part, and you're gonna sing this part, and everybody's gotta be doing something. I don't want anybody standing behind me and not doing something. Everybody's gotta look like they're into this. So Dustin Hoffman gets the tambourine, and he's like all nervous. He's like banging the tambourine all hard. He punches a hole right through it. Then he says to me, here, get rid of this before she breaks my neck. It was hilarious. It was so cool. It was just really cool working with these people and kind of seeing them like as regular people. It was just so awesome. I went on the road with Cheryl Pepsi Riley, who is out now doing a lot of stuff with Tyler Perry, but she's an amazing vocalist. And it was one of the experiences where I made friends that are still my friends. And that's what I love about music. Like, you get to meet people who are still your friends, and you can kind of like fold them into what you're doing, and they fold you into what they're doing. And so I released a project recently called Time to Say, and one of the musicians from the band that I met when I was working with Cheryl helped me get one of my videos done. And then one of the guys turned out to be one of my keyboard players for my school tour, because I do a school tour where I go into schools and teach kids about history and our Black history and Hispanic heritage and the lineage of music. And so I'm able to pull from those memories and those resources and those people that I've met like over the course of my career. And most of the people are really just wonderful people, just trying to make good music and make it available to people in the world. One of my favorite hip-hop memories is that I was working with KRS-One. He was producing a young lady, and they called me in to do background. And so I was sitting in the studio, because, the studio is a lot of hurry up and wait. You kind of get there, and then you kind of sit around for them to create, and then they kind of throw you in there and tell you what they want you to do. So I had been in the studio for years. The studio was like, I was a great session worker, because I could harmonize with myself, make myself sound exactly like myself, then double myself, and all of that stuff. So when Chris is ready for me, he says, "Okay, Wincey, it's your turn. Go ahead in the booth." So I stand up and I'm ready to go in the booth. I go to the door. I says, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" And I'm waiting for him to say, sing a harmony or, do, double it or whatever. He says, "Freak the vibe." I said, "Freak the vibe? Okay. Freak the vibe is not one of your choices. Now I can harmonize. I can double. What is it that you want me to do musically?" He says, "I want you to freak the vibe." I said, okay, but like musically, I don't know what you mean when you say freak the vibe. Do you want me to sing the same thing that she's singing or harmonize? He says, "Just go in and freak it." I said, okay. So I went in the studio, I went in the booth, and I was thinking, all right, I'm going to try this. And I sure hope I freak the vibe, because I would hate for them to send me home without paying me. But apparently I freaked it. He liked it. So he paid me. It was cool. It was all good. I did a cartoon with Africa Baby Bam. Africa Bombada, and then there was Baby Bam Africa. He had this idea for a cartoon character named, it was a bat. And it was a hip-hop bat, and he was called Batty Coda. And so I did the singing. I actually still have the cartoon, the comic book and the cassette. It's a cassette tape, but I still have it in the pack, like the first package that I got it, and it was so cool. It didn't actually go anywhere, but it was like it was a bat who was like really helpful, and he needed to learn things. And Africa Baby Bam had the idea that we could use that as a character to teach kids. It was really cool. So it was like a little hook, Batty Coda, Batty Coda. It was cool. My family did not think that music was a safe bet. They thought it was a nice side hustle, but I should go to school and get a good education, get that piece of paper, get that degree, and find a nice, safe job with benefits. And then, if you want to sing kind of on the side. But when they saw how serious I was about it, I think it was really like a surprise to everybody, really including me. Because like I said, I stepped out of the bandstand, like I stepped out of the choir and like onto the bandstand, like into the industry though. Like I didn't really struggle and hustle for it at first. Really the struggle and the hustle came later to kind of keep it afloat. But the beginning, people were calling my mother left and right, like, "I just saw Wincey on TV. Like Wincey was just, nobody even knew she was doing this. Wasn't she just in the choir last week?" So that was really awesome to go and have those tremendous opportunities. And then after the tour started ending, like after we came off tour, then I had to find work, and I could not bear the thought of going back to corporate. My sister and I sat down and we figured out what I love to do, and that was music, and I love children. So we figured out what kind of value we could offer to children that would have musical content in it. And that's how I came up with like the work that I do now, which is the arts integration programs, where I would take professional actors and musicians into schools, and we would teach history, Hispanic heritage, Black history, women's history, drug awareness, character education, and we would follow the core curriculum. So we would make it something that the teachers could respect and appreciate, but we would put the musical content and value in there so that the kids would stay, they would attend, they would pay attention. So we put together these 45-minute assemblies, which are like scripts. Then I hire professional actors. I place ads for professional actors and professional musicians. And then we practice, like we rehearse these scripts, and we build in a lot of call and response. And then there's a written curriculum guide that the teachers can use in their classrooms so that they can see that this is not just a show. Because when I explain it to principals, sometimes they have difficulty seeing, like, how is this going to be something that kids really learn? It sounds like it's really just going to be a show to me. But then after they see it, they realize, because the way we learned our ABCs was a song. If I said to you, roses are red, you'd know to say violets are blue. So kids learn, people learn through songs and jingles. And so I teach teachers how to write jingles and use songs and music and dramatic play and role play to teach whatever it is that you want the kids to learn. And after people see it, they always love it and they always have us back. So, there's a lot of, there's a heavy rotation of it now, but it was a lot of, I had to beat the pavement at first. And I love it. I would not give it up. Even when I'm out on the road now, even doing my own stuff for my own CD, I have other girls who play me in the school. So if there's a show or booking, somebody has to go in and do it because it's so valuable and the kids get so much out of it. What's most challenging for me with my career was it was the thing that made me work the hardest was the people who told me that I couldn't make it. And some of those people, I learned later, were trying to protect me from how rough the industry can be and how so many people go out into the industry and they get strung out on drugs, or there's a whole starving artist theory that, you can't make any money, you really can't make an honest living at it. And so there were those people who were trying to protect me, and then there were the other people who just really were being mean, and then there were some people who just really thought I couldn't sing. And some people were like, you really can't sing. In fact, I remember a session that I had where I was singing, and I didn't sound that good that night. I just didn't. It's live music, so I am not. At that time, I had not perfected my instrument so that I could always adjust it to sound good regardless of the conditions. That is something that I learned later working with a producer named Lamel Humes, who taught me that when you step up to the microphone, you need to be able to adjust your instrument so that even if the sound is bad, you still sound good. And I learned that later. I didn't know that was possible, but he had just finished producing Stephanie Mills, and she had just done that album, I Feel Good All Over. And he was saying, that's what Stephanie could do. You need to learn how to do that. So I didn't know that was possible. I learned how to do that later, but this one night at a studio down in the Battery in New York, I didn't know how to do that yet. And so the guys were in the booth, and they had heard so much about me, and I was sounding pretty bad that night. And the guy pressed the button so that I could hear it, and he said, she can't sing, and I'm not paying her. Yes, that's what he said. And I had never been treated like that. I had never heard anything like that. And I'm not somebody who makes a scene or fights or uses foul language or anything like that. So I was really broken and hurt and embarrassed. And the guy who had introduced me to them came in and got me, and he said, I'm going to put you in a cab, because I didn't even have money to get home. And he put me in a cab and sent me home. But I learned that night that in combination with what Lamel Humes said, was that I need to be on top of my game at all times. And if for some reason I cannot, then I need to cancel. But what I learned to work my instrument. I learned that. And so I from there, I went on and I worked in what they call club date bands. And they're not nightclubs. They're country clubs. So you work for country clubs, you work for like agencies that send singers out to work weddings. And I learned that whatever the condition, I can sing now. I can sing when I can't talk, because I've learned to master my instrument. Yeah, so my voice could be so hoarse, I might not be able to say a word. but I can belt it out. Yeah. I am most proud of the business that I have built, Wincey Co., with the arts integration programs, because it has allowed me to stay true to my art, to bring value to people, and to support myself musically. So I have 3 sons, all college graduates, you know, like on a musician's salary, you know. Thank you, Jesus. I have, you know, I have a house and cars, and again, thank God for it. I'm so grateful. But I never went back to corporate. When I left in '87, I never went back. And I don't ever see myself going back. So I was able to build a business and employ other people and do what I love to do. And I'm grateful because I know everybody is not able to do that. And I'm so grateful to God that He let me do it. I want people to remember me as somebody who reminded them that whatever their dream is, it's possible. And I believe that we are all put on this earth with our individual gifts. We all have an inherent gifting that is given to us by God to make our impact on the world. And I can't do what you do the way you would do it, and you can't do what I do the way that I would do it. And that's why it is important for everybody to stand up and be the person that God created them to be, because it all fits into the puzzle, and every piece is needed. And that's what I want people to remember, that when I go to the schools, I tell people, you are our future doctors and lawyers and preachers and teachers and architects and engineers, and you are just the people to get that done for us. Whatever it is that you came here to do, do it, and do it as big as you can, because that's exactly what we need, and we need you to do it. There's no competition when the brand is you. Just be you. That's what I want.